Okay, now let's look at sets and intervals. So we're going to look at sets and intervals. For example, if you have been given a question which says express the interval in terms of inequalities and then graph the interval. Then we have the first set of interval here, which is -3, 0. So how are we going to express that interval in terms of inequality and then showing that inequality on the real line or on the graph? So let's look at that. Okay, so to do that, we need to put certain things in consideration here. We have negative 3. So we have -3 here, 0. So before we write it in terms of inequalities, or let's say set builder notation, we need to understand these parentheses which they have used here. So whenever you see in set intervals where they have used these parentheses, what they mean is that the number 3 here is not included in that interval. So meaning we have the interval from -3 all the way to 0, but -3 and 0 are not included. Why? Because they have used these parentheses here. But if we use, let's say, a square bracket, let's say -3 and 0, and then we use a square bracket, then what we mean is that the number -3 and 0 are included in that interval. So the set will include -3 all the way up to 0. So the numbers which are in between -3 and 0 are included. Okay, now that we know what these symbols, or let's say the parentheses and the square bracket mean, now let's go direct into solving the question. So now how can we write the interval -3 all the way up to 0 in terms of inequality, or let's say a set builder notation? So here we have -3, so we have a -3, 0, like this. So this one, in terms of inequality, or let's say set builder notation, we are going to use these braces here. Then we say x, this symbol here is this one means such that, so x such that, then since we are looking at the set which starts from -3 up to 0, what we are going to do, we are going to say -3 here, okay, is less than x, and then x is less than 0, okay, and then we close our set there. So this is in terms of inequality, or in other words we can say set builder notation. So now, how have we known that here we need to use less than, not greater than, or let's say less than or equal to, is guided by these symbols there. So they have used what we call the parentheses, which means -3 and 0 are not included. So even on our symbol here, we are not going to use less than or equal to. Why? Because -3 and 0 are not included. So that's the inequality for the interval -3 all the way up to 0. But now let's graph that on a real line. So let's show this graphically. So graphically, we are going to draw a real line. So a real line is simply a line with numbers, okay, with integers, which satisfy our inequality here, this inequality which we have written there. Okay, so we have -3, we have -3 all the way up to 0, like that. Okay, so now let's indicate our set interval on this real line. So on this zero line, what we are going to do, we are going to draw a line which begins with a circle from here all the way up to 0 here, like that. Okay, so now if -3 was included, we could have shaded in that circle, but since -3 is not included, we are not going to shade those circles. Then here as well we have 0. So if 0 was included, we could have shaded here, but since 0 is not included, we are not shading. We are not shading in those circles. So we are, the interval is starting from -3 to 0. So meaning it is including all the values which are in between -3 to 0, but -3 and 0 are not included in that interval. So here, this is a graphical representation, and this one here is the inequality, or let's say a set builder notation. So that is the solution for the first question. Now let's move on to the second question. So the second question, we have question 48 here, which is 2,8. So we have 2,8, and take note of the symbols which they have used there, which are enclosing our interval. So we have a parenthesis here, and then we have a square bracket there. Okay, so now let's show that on set builder notation, and then let's also graph it. Okay, so now to do that, we are going to say we have a 2 here, comma 8. Okay, and then this side, remember, we have a square bracket. We have a square bracket. So this side we have a square bracket. So to write that as a set builder on a set builder notation, we are going to say this is equals to, we open our first braces here. So we are going to have, x is such that 2 is less than x, but x is less or equal to 8. 8 there. And then we close like that. Okay. So what this means is that 2 is not included in this set, but numbers which come after 2 up to 8 are included. So this square bracket there means the 8 is included in this set. That's why we have used less or equal to 8. So now to show that on our graph, on your real line, so what we do, we are going to draw our real line like that. Then we show where our 2 is. Then we show where our 8 is. Then from there, now we are going to write a circle like that. Then we draw a line which goes all the way up to 8, and then we circle as well like that. Then now, since 8 is included, we are going to shade this circle here. So a shaded circle here means 8 is included. So by so doing, we have, this is the graphical representation, and then this one here is the inequality. Okay, so that is for question 48. Now let's also work out question 49, which says we have a square bracket, then we have 2, then we have comma 8. Then we are going to write the inequality. Then from there, we are going to show it on a graph or on a real line. Okay, so let's do that. So let me just create some room here. Okay. So we have, let me just create some room. So we have a square bracket 2, 8, then a parenthesis this side. So this is equal to, so we use a brace this side. Then we say x is such that, then we write our 2 here. So since this side they have used a square bracket, what we are going to do, we are going to say is less or equal to x, but x is less than 8. Then we close like that. So that is the inequality. Then from there now, let's now show that on a real line. So you draw your real line like this. Then from there, you show where 2 is and where 8 is. Then now you show a circle. Then from there, you draw a line which goes all the way up to 8. Then after that, you now shade 2. Why? Because it is included. See, they have used a square bracket that side, meaning it is included in this in this set. So we are going to shade that like that. Okay. Okay, so that is the answer. So this is the graph, and this one here is the inequality. So now let's answer these questions 50 up to 52, and let me see your answers in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.